Joining us now on the program is the manager of the New York Mets. A 5-2 start. Good way to open up the season as they get ready for their home opener tomorrow with all the hoopla of not just the home opener, but of course the Tom Seaver statue being unveiled at 10:30 tomorrow morning. And of course, Jackie Robinson Day league-wide. We're very happy to have on the program today Mr. Buck Showalter. Buck, Craig, and Evan, how you doing, pal?
Good, guys. How are y'all today? Thanks for having me.
Of course, doing really well.
5-2, so we're good, Buck.
Yeah. Hey, I wonder, right out of the gate, Buck, having been away from it for a couple of years, although on TV and still close to the game, now that you've got a week under your belt of real baseball, regular season baseball, did you find that, looking back, you missed it as much as you thought you would, and you love being there as much as you do?
I don't know about, life goes on. I'm not, my whole life's not going to be, sitting around thumping your fingers on a table until something happens. I enjoy it. I love the interaction with the players. I love trying to deliver something for the fans and trying to do something that's very hard. You're getting everybody's best shot every night, especially in our division. So, I didn't stay up at night about it, but I'm very passionate about the competition, and it's about the players and it's about the fans, and that's not cliche-ish. It's just the way it is. Players allow you to manage them. You don't come in and try to show them how big your tail is. You just get after it every day and treat them. That golden rule always works pretty good. I tell you one thing. I told them last night. We got a police escort out of Philadelphia. I said that's what a 5-2 road trip would do. We were 2-5.
By the way, you're not the first to need a police escort in or out of that city. I can promise you
for
that.
For the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah. I guess you brought up Philadelphia. So let me ask, you guys have been hit like 10 times now this season already in the short season.
11 guys.
11. Pardon me. And I know it bothers you, and not every hit is the same. But do you feel like your pitchers have to now retaliate so the league understands you're not going to mess with the Mets like that?
Does I don't know. Does stupid pick stupid? I don't think a single one of them are intentional. And I'm as a one of the leaders of our team. You have to have a grip on reality. It's very easy to show how tough you are, and then all of a sudden somebody's laying in a pool of blood. How stupid do you feel? So sometimes you got to keep a grip on it. I'm not happy about our guys getting hit. I don't think it's intentional. I actually think it's a deeper seated problem with the grip of the baseball, because our guys are having some of the same issues. But injuries, you'd like to have them only happen in the competition of the game, if at all, and not by something that's not self-inflicted. It's frustrating for us, and but I'm certainly not going to penalize somebody for something that wasn't intentional. But at the same time, when you get to that point and where those pitchers are being thrown, don't attempt to throw in there if you can't control it.
Was Gene Segura being hit done on purpose, or was that a slip of the baseball?
That was not on purpose.
Do you think, because I believe you, I don't think you're telling a pitcher to do it, but do you think that pitchers on their own say, look, I've seen my teammates get drilled for the last 6 days. I'm going to take care of it. Is that something that you think guys on this team would do and maybe have done?
Well, I'm sure you could find an example of that being done. But everything your team does is a reflection of yourself as a teammate and yourself as a coach and manager. So you have to have that type of feeling that, whether you like it or not, it's a reflection on you. I think one of the toughest things for a team in a team sport is support a teammate when they're wrong.
Right.
Even though you have to. But a lot of those things get police behind the scenes. I've had some players in the past that did something on the field that was completely wrong, and we had to defend him, but it was uncomfortable because you're wrong.
Right.
And you're defending a bad cause, and that's what I told the player. I said, we'll defend you, period, but at the same time, give us a good cause to defend.
Right. Well, you said something earlier, and it's true. Do you react to stupid by doing something stupid? And basically hitting a guy is essentially that. So my question is, when you get hit as often as you've been hit, and you were pissed, we saw it on that Apple TV Friday night game, you gave a great death stare. What can you do about it? If retaliating is just, what's that going to do? And there's truth to that. Like, what is that going to do? Then what are you supposed to do when you feel like in the Washington series, to me more so than the Philly series, that, pitchers are letting the ball slip and they're pitching inside and they're potentially injuring guys? What are you supposed to do about it?
Well, believe me, I'm not going to sit around and just say, "Woe is me." Billy and I have talked some about it. Listen, guys, it's a bigger problem in baseball. Let's be frank about it. Gripping the baseball, the pitchers took it too far with the spider tack and made it a pitching advantage with spin rate and everything. And now I'm not so sure if we haven't gone too far the other way. Trying to grip a baseball that's been rubbed with mud in April and early May and in October, it's like, it's real slick. The rosin just doesn't do as much as you think. And they're trying, sometimes I think we've gone too far. Pitchers, all they had before was something on the fingertips. It being on your hand and all that doesn't help you. Okay, so, people talk about the Japanese ball that's tacky when it comes out of the assembly line. Well, the problem with that is guys would just copy the tack that they put, and nobody would be able to see somebody pushing the rules. So I've always pushed for just a universal pitching rag behind the mound where guys can tap their fingers, and you won't have guys getting hit nearly as much. I think a lot of the hit by pitches is that guys can't grip the baseball, especially in April.
So in other words, put in some kind of uniform thing, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, but look at it this way: a hitter tonight. Let's say everybody hit without batting gloves, pine tar, and wraps around your bat, because a pitcher is supposed to have his tool without gripping it, but yet a batter can do whatever he wants to grip a bat. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. And in fairness to the pitchers, I just think there could be a universal pitcher's rag that the union and everybody approves. You put it out there when the game starts, and if you do anything to alter that, they come down hard.
Makes sense.
They won't. And
Right.
I've talked to a lot of veteran pitchers. That's all they ask is give us a chance to have something tacky on our fingertips so we can at least hold the ball.
We're talking to Buck Showalter. So first base is fascinating because Pete Alonso has been brutally honest. He wants to play first base, and I think he's gotten better defensively as the years have gone by. When you decide to DH him, which we saw the other day, and he performed fine, is that a conversation you have to have with him? Is it like a delicate discussion explaining why he's playing a position or not playing a position that he obviously prefers to play on a daily basis?
Well, first of all, Pete is about one thing in his priorities. That's the New York Mets. He's so sincere, and he cares about his team and his teammates. And Pete's our first baseman, okay, and that's what he's going to play for us most of the games. But sometimes to keep these guys healthy, we have a DH this year. We haven't had that in the past. It's Cano one night, it's him one night, it's J.D. Davis one night. Shame on me if I don't move this thing around, because we're counting on Pete to play a lot of games for us.
Right.
And the wear and tear of playing first base, and if it gets to be an issue as far as mentally, guess what? We'll win. What Pete makes Pete the best player possible. Pete's not going to come in and say, it's about me and not the Mets. He's always going to say what's best for the Mets. He's had that conversation with me before, and I really appreciate that.
On nights where Dom and Pete are both in the lineup, and obviously you're going to move guys around, guys are going to DH, but they're both in the lineup, are you more likely than not going to play Dom at first base and DH Alonso?
Oh, you'll see Dom DH some. I'm not going to get painted in some corners. That's what we're going to do every night. Things change so much behind the scenes. There are things going on in this locker room every day that's not broadcast. That maybe a guy had a stiff back and doesn't need to be standing up, had a bad night. There's so many things that we know every day that go into this is a game that's played 7 days a week for 6 or 7 months for a chance to roll the dice in October. Okay, so it's just different. I hear a football coach say, well, we just weren't ready to play this week. Really? This week? And you had an off week last week? This is an everyday sport. You're going to have things, and you're picking. I get a report every night about where guys are, what they've done, and we rank them, who could stand to either have a day off or to DH. And we're going to take advantage of that because, we've got a chance to have a pretty good club. We keep our people on the field. And we're in the process of putting some really good what-ifs together in Syracuse and Binghamton.
Or when you make a decision on a lineup, are you doing it kind of the morning of, or is it something you're planning out days in advance? Like, are you taking into account, hey, this guy's swinging the bat well, I want to keep him in the lineup. So timing-wise on those lineup decisions, when does it occur?
Well, there's two ways to look at that. He's swinging the bat real well. Let's don't put him out there against somebody who's really struggled and get him out of that. I don't particularly look at that way. A hot hitter's a hot hitter. And, no, we're probably 5 or 6 pitchers in advance. I've got them sitting here on my desk here at Citi Field as I'm talking to you guys, the next 5 or 6 matchups as we project them who we're going to play. So it gives me, the ability to give players a heads up on what's coming. The thing that drives players crazy is the unknown. And as much as you can paint them a picture on what's coming, it gives them real comfort level. And we try to do that. Sometimes we have to wait for a player the next day to see if he's a player or not, and those are the days. So sometimes we'll send out where everybody's playing without a batting order, or we'll send a batting order out without the position. We try to be as forward as we can.
I'm just wondering, because I don't know what the animal is, but in your experience, when a guy's in a zone, knowing that baseball, more than any other sport, other than maybe a jump shooter, is a sport of streaks, do guys prefer to play every day when they're in that hot zone, even if there's a bad matchup historically coming up? Or would a guy say to you, hey, Skip, that guy owns me. I don't mind sitting down and starting again in a day?
Well, that's a great question. It really is. And the answer is they're all different. Thank God this game is played by human beings in a heartbeat. One guy may feel like I want to keep playing. Another guy, like Paul O'Neill, when I first started with him, he was a 191 hitter against left-handed pitching coming over Cincinnati, so we wanted him to get off to a good start in New York, and because we had just traded Roberto Kelly that a lot of people obviously really liked. And I told him, I said, Paul, I'm going to platoon you earlier until you get going, because he raked right-handed pitching. I said, at some point, we'll get you in. He wasn't happy with old Buck, okay? And so after a while, I said, every time there's a left-hander out there and you stay in the game, just make it like it's my face on him and hit one by his ear. And but one time, Bob Patterson, I'll never forget, comes in the game, and Paul was like 1 for 22 off this guy with like 15 strikeouts. And he's on deck, and he would always turn his back to me to keep me from calling him back. And this time he turns around and walks in the dugout. If you don't pinch hit for me against this guy, I'm really going to be pissed.
That's great. That's great. Most starting pitchers who aren't the aces, we live in a day and age in which they're pulled after 5 innings. We don't want to face a third time around the order. Tyler McGill has been awesome through 2 starts. Can you see in the next couple of starts saying, all right, you know what, Tyler? Let's challenge you. Let's throw 95 pitches. Let's see if you can get third time around the order. Can you see that happening with him soon?
Everybody's a little different. I'm kind of from that 30 to 40 increment inning jump, and sometimes you don't see the bad residue of that until the following spring, unfortunately. It's usually been my history with it. He's in the 30s, 130s, probably thinking 160 to 170, and you're trying to map out the whole season. I had this conversation the other day. Can he physically do it? Sure. And I think we'll make a mistake with the health of pitchers if we go too fast and too long. But, I let the other team tell me when it's time to take a guy out of the game for the most part. You look at history and what usually happens. But, for instance, on paper, Max shouldn't have pitched the third time around the order in the 5th inning and faced the top of the order with Schwarber and it was Real Muto and of course Harper.
You couldn't take him out.
That inning was as impressive an inning as has been pitched this year.
Yes.
He's had his struggles. They had not struggles. Max felt too good. It was one of his problems yesterday. And he basically the pitching that inning, and they've seen everything he's got to offer, and he went out there. When the last out was made in that 5th, I turned to Jeremy, our pitching coach, and said, "That's blanking impressive." Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's why
warrior.
those guys are in demand. That's why those guys.
Oh God! If you tried to take him out after 4, and I totally get it, second start of the year, hamstring.
I don't mind that. Hey, if it's the right thing to do, we're going to do it.
Can you?
I certainly. He's a guy that we have a lot of eye communication. He doesn't want to hear a lot of lip service about this and that and how much whatever. And he just, he appreciates the direct approach. And I don't ask him to agree with everything. And we have fun debating. He's a lot of fun to debate.
But can he talk you out of it? Like if you said to him, "Look, I'm taking you out after 4," and he, argued with you and said, "No, I'm Max effing Scherzer. I'm coming out for the 5th." Are you bendable enough to say, "All right, Max, fine, go out for the 5th inning"?
When it happens, guys, I'll let you know.
I wonder if you, I'm sure you're aware of it, the situation with Clayton Kershaw yesterday where he's got a perfect game through 7 and Dave Roberts takes him out. Now, afterwards, Clayton said, "Look, my slider sucked. I was done. I haven't really pitched since, I didn't pick up a ball until January this offseason." Have you ever been in a spot like that where a guy had either a perfect game or a no-hitter going and you knew that it'd be a bad thing for that guy long-term to let him pitch and pulled him out in that spot?
I probably haven't. Someone will look through my records and find out where it happened, but I would have, and I applaud those guys. You know, I think there were 3 or 4 guys one year when I was at MLB TV that I monitored the rest of the year after someone let them go through the no-hitter, and they struggled physically almost the whole year, especially early in the year after a strike, after a lockout. I think it was the right move. But I tell you the truth, guys, I don't know. If it's not about the Mets, I don't watch much highlights. I don't watch much all the news going on in baseball unless it affects, Harold Kaufman, our PR director. I just say, listen, there's something I need to know about, tell me about it. So I don't get ambushed. Other than that,
Right.
what somebody's written or said or whatever, just give me a heads up before I go in. I got too much to go on to be reading and writing and listening to every little thing that's said, because as good as you may think things are going, you can be the back in the outhouse in 2 days. So stay in reality.
So spring training literally started a month ago, and you were unable to talk to players all offseason. So you're obviously getting to know a lot of these guys in a very short period of time. How do you feel right now, less than a week or about a week into the season, in your comfort level for knowing your guys?
Well, you try not to let the fact that you won 2 series on the road, cloud your thinking of reality and knowing that we're going to have our ups and downs. I've been on teams that, won 100 games, and there were times we went through the season felt like we may not ever win a game. And I've been on an expansion team. We're just trying to keep from losing 100, but we went through periods where I didn't think we were going to lose another game. We were playing so well. But we got good people as far as that you can trust the players. If I'm a fan, I'm going to go, okay, these are guys that they care. I couldn't believe their work habits in spring. I'm thinking to myself, okay, is it because of the lockout and they're in a hurry, or is it because they haven't really been on the field with some of the COVID restrictions the last couple of years? I mean, I had to make these guys come out of games. I had to make sometimes them back off of working. We actually took a day off. And I've never had a group of players more engaged in getting ready to compete. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch and stay out of the way of, quite frankly. Sometimes the best managing you do is the managing you don't do.
Right.
Couple more minutes here before we let him go. Buck Showalter, manager of the Mets. We'll get into tomorrow in 1 second. Is there any update on DeGrom that Met fans would need to know or want to know, other than the last we heard a few weeks ago that he's not throwing for a month? Is there anything new on that?
One of the first things I do every day, I pick up the report and see what they give me a daily on Jake, and he's going to be here tomorrow. He got in. I think he gets in tonight. He wanted to be here for opening day and with his teammates. And when he's go back and continue his rehab there in St. Lucie and be there with his family, but it kills him not being here. That's another reason about him, traveling around, was he really doesn't have anything to do, and our trainers have their hands full. But as soon as he starts throwing, he will rejoin us and do all his throwing with us, and it'll be exciting to get him back. And I look at it because people start talking about trades and what teams need and don't need. Can you imagine being able to add Jake DeGrom and I think he'll make it somewhere around the All-Star break, I hope, but we'll see. I get to see it every day. It's pretty positive so far, knock on wood, so let's don't talk about it anymore and jinx it.
With an off day, do you plan on skipping the Taijuan Walker spot in the rotation so Scherzer's on his 5th day, or will you insert?
No, I'm not doing that. No,
definitely not doing that. All right. Well, that's good to know for Met fans. Now I know when Max is pitching.
All the guys, because you're going to pay the piper if you start. If there's an extra day, I want these guys around for the long haul, and our what ifs are going to have to perform. I think that we got some options there. Same way with all our pitchers. We're going to give them the benefit of the extra day, and it's the right thing to do for our long-term presentation.
So does Peterson take that rotation spot for Ty Walker in the meantime?
We shall see who's pitching Sunday. Who would you guys do?
I think he earned it, man. He was great filling in for Taijuan Walker.
Have you looked at Arizona's lineup left and right? I
have a little bit, but it doesn't even matter. He deserves that spot in the rotation.
Okay.
That's just me. I mean, you made the call.
Well, no, now I have somebody to blame.
I will gladly take that. I totally get what you're saying, but a part of me says, boy, this guy's thrown into the fire. 3rd inning, Philadelphia. I knew he was going to pitch in that game either way, I assumed at least. But he did such a hell of a job. Is there a part of you that says, hey, I may not like the matchups for this series, but you know what? You earned it.
Of course.
You got to pitch. Yeah. You earned that.
And this game is played by people with a heartbeat, okay? Never lose sight of that.
Walk me through, you had some, I think, interesting comments that I echoed on how important it was for you personally to be at the Tom Seaver statue unveiling tomorrow morning which I know a lot of guys like you are creatures of habit, so this goes against your pregame rituals. But it's a big deal for Met fans that you respect that as a guy who spent so much time in New York. Just wonder your thoughts on being there physically to watch that unveiling take place.
Well, it's just it's a great honor to even be able to go. You know, I got to tell you guys, I grew up in that era where Nancy Seaver and Tom Seaver, they talk about Jackie Onassis and Jackie Kennedy and obviously John Kennedy and Camelot. I always thought Tom and Nancy were almost Camelot. Does that make any sense? Is that being too dramatic? But you know, I had my wife. Yeah, thanks for that. It's just the president, but I tell you what, a lot of Mets fans think Tom Seaver's the equivalent of a president too. But no, I'm just looking forward to being a part of it and get out of the way real quick. Obviously, we've got to get back. Hey, it takes 10 minutes out of your day. Right. Another big part of tomorrow is Jackie Robinson Day.
Sure.
That's very, very special to us. And I got to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'll get off. I had a pitching coach years ago named Russ Muckmeyer. He was an old Philadelphia whiz kid, was traded to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he had been one of those guys that had given Jackie a lot of grief from the other side. And he told me the story on a bus late one night in Double-A. He was my pitching coach. I was a young manager, so he put a veteran pitching coach with me. I said, what do you think about Jackie Robinson? So he told the story. He said, well, Jackie gets traded over to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And Monk's going, oh, God, he's going to kick my butt right the first day. Here we go. Now we're teammates. And he's getting ready to do whatever he's going to have to do to defend himself with Jackie. And he sees his hand extended. And he looks up at his Jackie. He says, Monk, we fought each other. It's time we fought them together here in Brooklyn. And he said, that's my Jackie Robinson story. Can you imagine after all the grief that man took?
No.
So anyway, special day for us tomorrow here.
Did you know Tom Seaver on a personal level?
Yeah, he was a Yankee announcer a little bit. And Tom, when I think about Tom, I think about this infectious laugh. You guys remember when he used to laugh?
Oh, yeah.
Cool it was when he had gotten in the wine business. He would come around and on the West Coast, and he was always there to see somebody else. But I always got over there close to him to rub elbows with, at least listen to him. I learned to keep my mouth shut because Tom was pretty good if he wanted to cut you up.
Yeah, people said he had that like a wry, dry sense of humor, but he threw daggers.
And you leave and you go, wait a minute, he just cut me up.
Listen, I'll tell you a story. I told this on the air yesterday to Evan. When I used to do the show with Boomer here in the morning, we went out to the Super Bowl out in San Francisco. We would have dinner every night the entire Super Bowl week. So one night Boomer says, I can't have dinner tonight. Why? Well, Tom and Nancy have invited me to the winery to drink some wine and have a family dinner. Great. So he enjoys the Seaver wine. And he said a week later, he had a case of wine sent to him. Great. It had a bill in the box.
What?
Yeah, he wanted his $100 a bottle, and he sent Boomer a bill.
Good. He should have.
Exactly. Well, Buck, listen, we appreciate you coming on. Good luck the rest of the way. I know we're going to talk to you a couple times throughout the season. Enjoy tomorrow and your first opening day at Citi Field as the Met manager, and appreciate you sharing some time and some stories with us. Thanks so much.
Oh. It was fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Be good. All right, Buck Showalter, everybody.
Every opening day I've been to, right before the Mets are announced on the field, my dad and I guess who's going to get the loudest ovation. And a lot of times it's obvious. Back in the day, it's Piazza, it's right.
Sure.
I kind of have a feeling the guy who's going to get the loudest ovation on opening day for the first time in my lifetime is going to be the manager.
No, it's going to be Pete.
I don't know about it. No, look, Pete's going to get an ovation. Max is getting an ovation. Yeah. I get that.
By the way,
I think the manager may get the biggest ovation.
Duh. Your boy's going to be there. He
Jacob
just told
DeGrom?
you.
Jacob DeGrom?
DeGrom's going to be there.
And I stand by what I'm saying.
And that means he's going to get introduced.
I get all that. I think the manager is going to get the biggest ovation. I stand by that because right now, there's a honeymoon with this manager. And this fan base, I'm one of them, just lived through Luis Rojas and Mickey Callaway.
Yeah.
There is an excitement over a manager that I don't remember. Like, Bobby V a little bit eventually, but not at first.
You know why? And listen, I've never met Buck Showalter, and I've only talked to him twice in my life. And this is not a knock on Luis Rojas, and I wasn't here for Callaway, but I know the story. Buck Showalter, for a lot of reasons, age one, experience for sure two, he has credibility and he commands respect.
Yes.
And he knows what he's talking about.
Here's the key. Buck Showalter will never, ever, ever be out prepared. He may make a decision I disagree with, you disagree with, Met fans may disagree with. That's the beauty of baseball. But there's never going to be a moment where you say he was not prepared.
Right. It may not work, but he's doing it for a good reason.
Right. So right now,
I like him. You know what else I never know about him? I never knew he had a sense of humor. Because as a sports fan, watching him in Baltimore, watching him, not so much with the Yankees because it's so long ago, watching him in Arizona, it was like, boy, that guy's got a stick up his ass.
So it changed.
And he doesn't.
It changed in Baltimore. And I'll never forget it because Joe and I had Buck on years ago as the Oriole manager. I think we were at Army-Navy and Buck was the greeter. Hey, it's coming to my town for Army-Navy. What's up? And I remember being stunned how much of a personality he had. So I think somewhere along the way, probably Baltimore, maybe it was a little bit before that, it changed. And now you talk about a guy comfortable in his own skin. He's very, very comfortable.
Yeah, I thought that was a great interview. I enjoyed listening. The stories are great. He's got a good sense of humor. And he appreciated that I was honest with him. It ain't Camelot.
and here's what we also found out. If David Peterson struggles on Sunday against the Diamondbacks,
it's on you.
It's my fault.
Yeah, it would be great if he said that in the post-game press conference. Roberts told me to pitch him, so I went with Evan Roberts.